Hello, everybody. This is the Section 214 of BC Lions podcast. I'm your host, Ascent, and I am back with my my co-host JS.
Hi,
And
folks.
yep, he's going to be back for hopefully a lot more games for the rest of the season. I was only done doing it solo for the last one, but
Maybe I should have skipped out on this one too, because
yeah,
clearly,
sure.
clearly my presence was not positive for the team today.
No, and we were watching this game in tandem with the game four of the Stanley Cup final, and I only paid like 5% of my attention on the game, and you were more like a more probably 60-40. Or
Yeah, I had both on at the time. I had my TV showing the football game and my iPad showing the hockey game, and it was pretty intense. I thought the way the hockey game ended was hilarious. Like an own goal to tie the final up, that made me laugh so hard because
oh yeah,
that's just so funny, and it's
yeah,
kind of
funny
it's
if
kind of
you're
cruel. It's kind of cruel.
yeah, funny if you're a Florida Panthers hater, but for Oilers haters like us, it's like of course they luck out. And I mean, much in the same vein as how that game was won. I mean, this was like Winnipeg. I guess we'll get into a gut check for this game. Winnipeg was like at its weakest, pretty much, for not only for the quarterback situation, but once Oliveira got injured and like the very after the first drive, right? Then yeah, it was kind of like this was the opportunity for BC to like really assert themselves. And then they did they did the SpongeBob meme. I'm like, you can have the win instead, right?
Yeah, they just, it started off poorly and never really got any better. I kind of had the feeling as soon as Winnipeg got that first touchdown that it was going to be a tough night. I didn't know for sure that that was, over at that point, but it was not a good feeling because if memory is correct, the last time we won in Winnipeg, maybe while we keep talking, I can look it up and see. The last time we won in Winnipeg, which was 2023, I'm pretty sure the Lions would have scored first in that game. I'm going to pull it up now.
They
Yeah,
they blew them out in that. In fact, I think they even they shut
we
them
won
out in that
30 to
game.
6, 30 to 6.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
I'm
mean,
just pulling it up now. We highlights. Here we go. They actually have these things here. We score first? I don't think we scored first actually, but anyway, we gave up a field goal and then just proceeded to blow them out.
just blow them out, and like it's 2023. It feels like 70 years ago.
It
That was
really does,
before
even
our
though even
podcast,
though it
right?
was only 2 years ago, and that was, a good season for the Lions. They hosted the West semi,
West semi, yeah, and
which
then
that was a great game. The big win against Calgary with 30,000 people in the stands, and then
yeah, that
crap the
was
bed again in Winnipeg in the West Final. But is that where we're headed this year? That's probably too early to tell, but we're going to have to win the West Final in Winnipeg to make the Grey Cup. I
well,
think it's pretty
well,
set.
well, I mean, like we're assuming Winnipeg's going to win the West. I mean, we had our standings prediction before, but yeah, it's just I I thought of the title of this episode for a while, and then I thought about The Art of War by Sun Tzu, and one of its tenets is appear weak when you're strong, because that is exactly what they did to BC, right? It was just,
They had us
uh,
all. They
like
didn't have their starting quarterback,
the
and
odds were in
yeah,
BC's, yeah, the odds were in BC's favor. It was just we thought, oh, Stravler hasn't really started as quarterback in a long time, but yeah, uh, I think the name of the game for how Winnipeg won this was the rushing attack, and I think the commentary and even just a bunch of the pregame stuff before that, like they were talking about how Winnipeg was going to be using the rushing attack a lot in this game, right? Just because
and
Stravler is a
we
good.
should have been prepared for it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into statistics, a little more of a deeper
It ended up
dive
being like
into.
a two-headed beast in the running game due to the injury to Oliveira, and that didn't seem
Didn't
to matter.
didn't
Like I'm never ever gonna celebrate somebody getting injured, right? Never ever going to do that. But
Nope, we're
if their
never gonna
best
do
player
that.
is out, you need to take advantage of it, right? And
Yeah,
they didn't have Kalaros playing today, which honestly I totally forgot about until they're playing today. I'm like, oh yeah, because it's week
yeah, you
two.
got suspended for
I totally forgot that Winnipeg had a bye. And then I'm like, well, if he's not playing, we got to take advantage of that. And we did not. And now next week he's going to be back and he'll be have a chip on his shoulder because I know he was pissed off about the suspension, right?
as
So he's gonna,
quarterbacks should.
well, of
I
course,
just
yeah. Now he's gonna have something to prove, right? So this is really a big missed opportunity for the team, even though they didn't play that well. So like it wasn't a heartbreaking loss or anything, but really a missed opportunity.
yeah. Oh, that was the title in one of our videos last year too. But that was I think that was even a Toronto loss in the first game last week year too. But yeah. So yeah, this is as much as I was celebrating the Edmonton win. I mean, I even said in the last episode, like I really, you know, going into Winnipeg and winning there would feel like a whole lot sweeter, and just they just couldn't get it done, and they're never going to get it done this year because that's the only time they play in Winnipeg, right? Like they got the back-to-back games and that's it,
I
right?
know, and if we don't beat them by a substantial margin, that means that we lose the season series. Like the game, what was the score ended? I even gave up right at the end. It ended 34-20. So we have to win the next game by at least 15 to get the season series. So like that's not happening. So basically, Winnipeg has already gotten the season series against the Lions, and down the line that could matter.
Down the line it would matter, and especially well, Calgary and Saskatchewan. I mean, they both won their games, and they're going to be playing this week too. So uh, yeah, it's just you know uh, uh yeah, I really I have no other words just to describe the utmost rage I feel for every time, like almost every time they go into Winnipeg, they just don't they can't come back in them, right? I feel like the 2016 comeback against them in the playoffs, like that was like the
That
last
was at
time.
home.
Yeah, other home, that was
So like
the
tone
last.
like the last time we beat them in a big game, but like when was the last time we won a playoff game in Winnipeg? I don't even know.
Oh God, you could probably look that up too, but
I'm going to
yeah,
because
you
it was certainly before I've been watching because I've been watching the team since about 2011. And
yeah,
let's see
and
the last time we won.
I was
Last time we
watching
won.
since 2000 roughly. At least I remember them winning the Grey Cup in 2000, but I was 5 years old. So, uh,
Hey, in
uh,
1981, we won a playoff game in Winnipeg.
oh my God. Wow. That's, that's 46 years or 44 years. Oh,
I'm just trying to
man,
see if there's
that's,
anything else here.
uh,
That looks like about it. So 1981. And none of us were born then.
none of us were born. My dad was like, well, he was 20 years old when that happened.
My
So,
dad would have still been in elementary school
yeah.
when that happened.
Yeah, so it's just, I mean, it's hard for it's hard for a lot of for the rest of the league to be winning in Winnipeg because I even I even wrote down in my game notes there's like some insane stat like since 2017 I think Winnipeg's been like 35-6 at home, right? Like I think we've awakened a demon, right? After they lost that 2016 playoff game, right? It was man. Anyways, yeah. So I guess all that aside, I'll get into the nitty-gritty for the stats, and this time we're gonna take turns because the last time I read both. So I'm gonna read the BC stats for
Sounds good.
this time around, and then you're gonna do yeah the Winnipeg one. Um, there's gonna be things for us to rant about a lot in this, so strap in. So Yeah, Nathan Work went 12 for 27 for 249 yards. He had a touchdown, an interception, and he had 9.2 yards average per throw. And 77 yards was his longest throw. So yeah, just not the best completion percentage, right? But
He only he went
he had
one.
his
Didn't he go one for his first 11 or something like
he
that?
went 1 for 10 in the first half before the end of it when he
Just
marched
terrible.
down the field. Yeah, it's just like the off. In these two games, again, I've noticed that like the offense just struggles in the first half now. Uh, again, well, it's a short sample size. I'm hoping it doesn't happen again for the next game, but again, it's yeah, it's never this time. It's a game that Nathan Work is struggling in the first half and ended up losing this time, right? Because uh, yeah, and then he had 58 rushing yards and 6 carries, and of course a short yardage touchdown to add there too. So he was like pretty much
He was
mostly
average.
average, right? He had his good moments, but most of it was
His
just
run game was strong, but otherwise, yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, one game was strong in both games, but yeah, it was just this was significantly worse game for him, and I kind of expected that, right? Because it was a better defense to play, and no offense to Edmonton, uh, it was Edmonton's defense broke down in the second half. Just Winnipeg just didn't relent. Right? Uh, yeah, and of course, we'll get into it in the recap too. But Jeremiah Masoli also came into the fourth quarter. He went like 7 for 10, 84 yards and an interception. So yeah, the game was far pretty much over by then, and just didn't want to injure Work any more than he had to, right? Because and we'll see if we'll see if Nathan Rourke's going to be good to go for next week. Because if he isn't, then it's going to be a red alert. Right?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean Masoli will do an adequate job. I'm
yeah,
not I'm not scared of him, or not scared of him quarterbacking the team. I have faith in him, but we want Nathan Nork back as soon as we can, obviously.
yeah. If he's going to be out, I hope it's not too long, right? But again, we're already penciling in another loss next week. But I mean, they
I
can
mean,
surprise us.
they can surprise us, but it's not unreasonable to write next week off.
Yeah. So for running backs, James Butler, he only had 10 carries for 27 yards. He only had 2.7 yards average per run, and a 5 yard run was the longest. So he was like pretty much just stone compared to the last game. Well, I mean, the last game he was okay in that one, but this one he wasn't that good either. He was more effective in the passing game where he had 5 catches on 9 targets for 42 yards, 8.4 average, and his longest catch was 28. So yeah, just their running game was like way better than ours, right? Just even without Oliveira, which is I just want to punch a hole in the wall saying that now. um yeah, and then for the receivers, I sorted them by most effective to only the one catch, and of course a certain someone that of course he does this again, but anyways, uh yeah, I'd say Hatcher had his Hatcher had his best game in terms of pure stats. Although he only had 4 catches for 11 targets, it was for 150 yards and a touchdown. And
It was an amazing, amazing play.
yeah, amazing 77-yard touchdown. And yeah, he would. I mean, his catching percentage isn't that great, but yeah, just when he caught the ball, it was always the deep threat, right? So that was that was good to see at least Work completing a couple of long balls, but it was just you know just couldn't do it enough to really matter. But yeah, McInnes 4 catches on 7 targets for 58 yards. Um, yeah, 14.5 average, and his longest was 28. So yeah, he had a okay game too, and then we made and then we call this a meme receiver because last year he would always have at least like one catch for big yardage, and then Aiden Abel does it again today. Just one catch on one target for 49 yards. So Hammer would be happy to hear of that, right? Because we find like great amusement in Abelhard just having like a long catch just and that's it, right? uh yeah, he only had the one catch, and then Barry Hill had two catches on two targets, so it was coming off like a career high in yardage, the last one, and yeah, he didn't really do much here. Only two catches with 20 yards. Katoy only had three catches on six targets for 14 yards. And just I mean there was the long ball deep threat for Hatcher, but just a lot of two and outs were happening in this game on the offense and in both halves, right? It wasn't just the first half problem that was frustrating, right? It happened a bunch in the second, and yeah. Uh and I was pretty disappointed with the defense overall. Right, they got
Yeah,
two
they couldn't get
sacks.
it done.
Yeah, it's just every time Winnipeg got the ball, it just felt like they were gonna score on a lot of them, right? And just yeah, only two sacks, Tavai and Hendricks. So Hendricks has back-to-back sacks in a game, which is good. One interception was by Gary Peters. That was at an important moment in the game where we thought, they were gonna make a game out of it, but didn't. And then yeah, Alway had 10 tackles, Tavai had six tackles, Peters had five, rest of the team had less than five. So yeah, just yeah, and I guess in terms of pure stats for the defense, obviously Alway and Hendricks for me were like would be like my defensive MVPs, but it's only just faint praise when it with 30 they got 30 plus points dropped on us anyways, right? Um and now we're gonna get to special teams. I don't enjoy talking about special teams in one in a particular aspect of the game, right? But
Return department.
it's become a broken record. But Sean White was perfect as always, 2 for 2 on field goals and 2 for 2 on extra points, right? Again, no fault for him. Like if he misses the field goal, I think like whenever he misses a field goal, I think an angel loses their wings somehow. Uh,
Well,
he's
didn't
been
happen
that
today,
automatic.
thankfully.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing to complain about there. I mean, it's I feel like a broken record talking about how much I love Sean White's kicking game, and then when we get to well, actually, a punter was doing pretty good too. He was averaging like 58 yards on every punt. He did like a bunch of them for not 9 punts, and even had one inside the 10, which I'm starting to catalog too. So I'd like to see two inside the 10 at one point, right? But
I think that's a good
uh,
thing to catalog because those are kind of your coffin corner punts, and they're really important. Unlike when the Bombers, kicked one that quite literally hit the pylon.
yeah, that was a funny moment too. It's just I don't think I've ever seen that. Like a punter just you know gets the ball all the way to touch the pylon. That's impressive accuracy, even if you don't mean it, right? I guess
Yep.
that's like shooting a fish in an ocean, right? um, yeah. So yeah, in terms of the kicking game on both field goals and punting, I don't really have any complaints about that. And then here, the story about our kick return and punt return game is well, for one thing, I complained about Jermaine Jackson yesterday. I didn't think he had a great, he didn't have a very good, debut, and turned out he got injured before the Yep, like as the warm up was happening for the game, so he didn't get a chance to redeem himself, which I'm a little sad by. But yeah, we were down to uh, well, Carter, who is usually our in our secondary, being a corner, but here he had 9 return catches on special teams, 6 punt returns, and 3 kickoff returns, for a grand total of 92 yards. And for kickoff returns, he only had 47, and he averaged 15.7. And punt returns, he had 45 total yards on 6 punt returns, and he averaged like 7.5, which
which is basically
is
nothing.
awful, right?
That's less than a yo nard. I was gonna say a yo nards penalty, less than a no yards penalty. Mix the letters up, but like just no good.
No, in fact, in the past 2 games, we have had no yards penalties at all, right? So I was debating on whether to include that in the recap, but I'd rather say it here, right? Because yeah. So not only is the kick return game bad, they're not even getting the no yards penalties to make up for that even, right?
And there
It's
are
just
ways that you can kind of try and draw those penalties, or at least be sneaky, but didn't mean
no,
anything in
it's
the end.
no, it's just Winnipeg special teams coverage. Like they don't feel us, right? I don't
They
think
don't.
really. I don't think nobody in the CFL really feels a kick return game. Like it's been a very long time since I could say that oh, we have like a great kick returner, right? Like ever since Tim Brown, really. uh, I'd say. But yeah, and Barry Hill even got a chance of kickoff returns too. Only got like uh 34 yards total each time. So yeah, it was just down to a third string kick returner, which is not where you want to be at this point in the season, really. But I mean, I hope Jackson is okay for the next game. But I really want him to have his redemption. But we've been burned by just having an ineffective kick return game for just so long that we're just super desperate. Like we want a redemption arc, right? We
We just needed to
um
be back to the days of Tim Brown and what was his name?
Ian Smart and just pretty
Stefan
much
Logan used to be good.
Von Logan.
We needed to go back 5, 10 years and we'll be in good shape. Because the way I see it, you should be getting like a punt return touch and like over the course of the season, you should be getting 3 or 4 of those at least.
At least, yeah.
And
I mean,
like
I'm not.
once a game, you should be getting a decent return.
Yeah, once a game, you should have like the special teams pin. Well, start the offense at least like the 45 or the 50 often,
Exactly.
right?
And we didn't even really get that at all.
No, it was always starting at like most of Winnipeg's punts made BC's start their drives at on average like around the 40 yard line in their own zone, right? It was
Just
yeah,
crazy.
that's not how you win.
Nope.
Oh, no. So yeah, I guess you'll get into the Winnipeg stats, and yeah, here I mentioned that it was said in the pregame on TSN, and I kind of gathered that they were going to rely a lot on the running offense, and I just didn't expect it to be someone
Didn't
else
expect it to
doing
be
it, right?
so spread out
I didn't
because
expect like apparently the heir apparent to Oliveira already, right?
yeah,
Against us.
he certainly said I didn't even know his name prior to today, and he certainly won't forget it now. I guess I can start reading the stats. Chris
Yep,
Streveler, he was, what was he? I read it here. 15 for 24 with 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. I'm just going to make the stats, the text a little bigger so I can read it a little better. That's a 10.3 average per throw and 9 rushing yards and 2 carries, so a good game for him. And Oliveira, he played like the
just
first
two
quarter, I
carries.
think, and
Yep,
he only had
yeah,
2 carries for 49 yards, and that's almost 50 or almost 25 yards rather per carry, and that's really, really good. 43 was his longest, and then Matthew Peterson taking over, he didn't know he existed prior to today, and I'd probably give him the MVP award, honestly, just the circumstances in which he came in. He had 23 carries for
23.
130 yards. That's an average of just under 6 per carry, 5.7 yards, and a touchdown. I think that was on his 38-yard run. Was it
Yeah,
not? It
I
was,
think,
right?
yeah, it was. Yeah, he just ran through the A gap on the left side of the D line, and he just like sped all the way to the end. Oh, right. And I'm like,
And then I threw up my hands and gave up. Onto their receivers, Wheatfall had 5 catches for 127 yards and a touchdown. Dembski had 4 catches for 53 yards and 2 touchdowns. Sounds like I'm reading a lot of touchdowns here. Chowan had 4 catches for 46 yards. Stearns had 1 catch for 13. Clercius had 1 for 7. So a lot of spreading the offense around
and three
and
receivers, and a lot of Matthew Peterson,
a lot of
which
running. Just running defense just frustrates me so much because you have all these players making their taking their formations to block the run, and they can't do it. It's against Winnipeg. It's just been frustrating me. Basically, as long as we've been doing this podcast, it's been frustrating, even longer, honestly, and it's not okay. It needs to
yeah,
stop.
even like before the podcast for the past couple of years before that, it was it was always frustrating just watch Winnipeg just run over us constantly.
And that
I just
continued today. And then with the defense, I'll just breeze through it here. They all had 1 sack from Wilson. Bridges with 2 interceptions. They forced a fumble, and then their top tacklers were Tony Jones with 9, Terrell Bonds with 7. And then special teams, their kicking game was a bit rough today. Castillo went 2 for 3 on field goals and 3 for 4 on extra points, so he missed one of each. And I know he missed the one. I think it was an 8-point game at the time when he missed it, and
yeah,
or maybe it wasn't a maybe it was a 7 point game.
no
It was a no, it was 14, and he missed it.
14. Yeah, it would have
And
been a
there was
three
a
possession game. Yeah,
so kept keeping the Lions in it vaguely at that point, and they didn't do anything with it. And then Sheehan was the punter. He had seven punts for averaging 46 yards. And yes, you've correct. I was confused why you wrote 0 punts inside the 10, and that's technically correct because the one hit the pylons. That's a rouge.
yeah,
So it was this, I'm holding up to the camera, it was this close to being like the most perfect punt.
yeah, but just had to
Another
hit the
6 inches,
pylon.
6 inches to the left, it goes out of bounds at the 1 yard line.
Yeah, at the
And
halfway point of the 1 yard line, it would have been like, oh, again, I mean, it's equally impressive to be hitting a pylon from that distance
yeah,
than it
to
is,
hitting a tiny
yeah,
pylon. But good for him. And then in their returning game, Vaval had 9 returns total, 126 yards. I think it was 61 yard
61 for punt return.
punt
Yeah,
returns and
actually, no,
38
no, 61 for kickoffs.
61 for kickoffs and punts 85 yards, and then his longest was 25. And then Peterson had one 22-yard kickoff return. The penalties I thought were overall pretty even. 5 for 55 for BC, 7 for 80 for Winnipeg. There weren't really any calls that I didn't agree with there. There was one possible pass interference I thought they could have challenged, except the Lions had no timeouts left, so they
Yeah,
can't
there was,
challenge it.
and there was a little bit of like, kind of like a weak, illegal block by Bill Hill, but it was weak, but it had to be called, right?
I mean,
Just
nothing compared to the officiating we see in the Stanley Cup final. So
no,
that officiating
absolutely
is
not.
atrocious. And finally, the time of possession, BC 25-32, Winnipeg 34-28. So basically a 60-40 split in terms of possession. And when that happens, you're facing an uphill battle to win a game. Because the Lions had many 2-and-outs in that game. It was at least a half dozen. And that's just frustrating to watch.
Yeah, and then whenever Winnipeg had their two and outs as well, it was just yeah, that's just BC would just give it right back to them almost immediately for a few times, right? And
Yup.
yeah, and then that's going to take us into the recap portion, and I
An
mean,
angry one.
I
There's not really much to say positive about the game. Like the first, I would probably say the best part of the game was the drive to end the first half that led to a touchdown. I was very pleased with that.
yeah,
It's just a shame they couldn't build on it.
yeah, just couldn't build on like that momentum, and it was just and even BC had the ball for the second half, right? Like we were thinking, maybe they could make it a closer game, but yeah, it's just uh, yeah, so it's back to back sold out crowds that BC is playing in on both sides. So we had the Snoop Dogg game last week, and then yeah, Winnipeg gets their sellout crowd here without the need for a musical act, which is of course. Right, you're in the Grey Cup for 5 straight years. You should be selling out often, right? uh, oh man, I'm jealous. uh, yeah. Before the game, there was of course a Chase Stegall tribute as well, which I found was very nice. I mean, they had to do it because Milt is a legendary player for the Bombers, right? So, and of course, this is Buck Pierce's return to Winnipeg because he was an offensive coordinator for pretty much like a decade. Like after he retired as a quarterback, he went to Winnipeg to be their offensive coordinator, and he had a lot of success with them. Um, uh, yeah, so I guess Buck Pierce's first road game coach wasn't that good, but again, it's still early season. But I mean, it's when you get Winnipeg in like the back to back in like the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season, it's like it's an uphill climb, right?
Uphill climb because they're
Uh,
going to be at their healthiest too, because injuries, which hurt players and make them unlikely to play, that doesn't tend to happen until later on. So you're getting Winnipeg at their healthiest now, and Winnipeg has effectively already clinched the season series
oh my
after
God.
after 2 games.
But yeah, so here Winnipeg actually gets the opening kickoff. They return it to the 30. Like this opening drive was just like a thing of beauty for the Bombers fan, but for us, we were just instantly dreading it because Stravler throws a strike to Dembski in a slot route to convert for 12. Oliveira dashes on the right side of the field and runs for 40. Like that was just one highlight until he got injured right after that. So
But like right away, just the Lions could not defend the run, and at least I suppose they didn't string us along, making us think they were going to do well. Kind of knew
no,
right from the get-go that they were going to have a tough time stopping the run, and that continued throughout the game.
yeah, and of course, well, not just the run, but apparently the passing because after that 40-yard run, it was just Stradler throws a bomb to Dembski. Like he stretched his arms out, he caught the ball in his fingertips, right? And then immediately take the lead 7-0. And as that, the Lions are caught sleeping on defense because it took them like 3 minutes roughly just to take the lead, and we're going like, oh no, this is looking bad already. And um yeah, so after that touchdown, Jackson returned. Actually, no, I said Jackson, but I think it was Carter instead. But I was kind of conditioned to expect Jackson. Like I didn't know he wasn't going to be playing in his game, right? But they mentioned that Jackson was injured like before the game, in the middle of this game, right? So uh, yeah, so it's actually Carter who returns the kickoff to the BC 32. Work throws incomplete to McInnes, but the drive stays alive on an illegal contact penalty.
It was
And
the only
it was kind
first
of a,
down.
it was,
The only first down on that drive they got was
yeah, it was a kind of a bizarre thing too, because Andre Prue, the referee, like he initially called it was offside in Winnipeg, but it was illegal contact instead. I don't think I've seen that a whole lot. Just a penalty changed like as the flag was thrown, right? Um, But of course, that bizarre moment aside, it didn't matter because they failed to convert on a short run and an incomplete pass to McInnes. And then Winnipeg gets the ball back on the punt. Dembski was tackled for a loss on an attempted misdirection on first down, and the illegal contact on Wheatfall to boot backs him up to like 2nd and 22. And then even with Winnipeg's offense, they couldn't do anything on that on 2nd and 22. So 2 and out. And then Carter. Oh wait, yeah, Carter did return a punt of 54. Um, so yeah, that was the one good moment of field position, but that was because Winnipeg was so far back in their own zone, right?
that doesn't really count. Like he didn't really earn that per se. It just kind
Yeah,
of
just
happened
kind
with
of by
luck.
circumstance. Yeah. Uh, yeah, and then but here Parker defends the pass from work to McKinnis on first down, and then BC gets called offside by Bill Hill. I'm a just a false start on that kind of thing, and then on second down, just Work's pass gets intercepted on McKinnis, deflecting the ball into the Winnipeg defender's hands to get to BC 46, and then we're going, oh my God, this is the Saskatchewan game, the playoff game all over again. We're just deflected interceptions are just going to ruin them, right? Because
And they're not really anybody's fault, but it's just bad luck. And like, you can't, it's going to happen at some point, but you need to be good enough to overcome the bad luck. I've always said that if the game is close enough for one or two instances of bad luck or one or two missed calls to decide a game, that means that you didn't play well.
no, but actually, thankfully, Winnipeg's offense did stall on the two and out. So we did have a moment where Winnipeg really could have like gone up 40 points on us, right? But it just kind of continues the theme of overall a team just not taking advantage of other team mistakes at all, right? As big as these interceptions, right? Uh, so yeah, it stopped at the 42, and then Castillo kicked a really long distance field goal to extend the lead to 10-0, 49-yarder. That's pretty good. I said I was prepared to be down like 14-0 already at that point, right? But yeah, it was a two and out that happened. So the mind is not where I like to be, but unfortunately the uh when you're playing in Winnipeg, it's really easy to just immediately be down in the dumps, right? And we're proven.
It's just
you
how that's what we kind of have come to expect from Winnipeg, sadly.
mm, yeah. Uh, so on the ensuing drive for BC, Nathan Rourke ran on 2nd and 5 to go for. He had a really good run here, like for 36 odd yards, and then an unnecessary roughness penalty tagged on the boot because he got hit out of bounds. You can't do that. So
Which that was, a fair call. The
I
re-
thought it
the
was a
the,
muff.
the guys on the broadcast were unhappy with it, but I thought it was the right call. You hit a guy out of bounds, it's a penalty, simple as that.
Yeah, you just can't do that even if it's a weak call like the Barry Hill one, the Barry Hill illegal block in the back later on. But yeah, so here, pretty good yardage, not from the one and the penalty, and but they get no further because yeah, they just back to back incomplete passes. And then White nails an easy chip shot field goal to nail it down 10-3. And I'm going, okay, at least we got points on that this time, right? Any points is good. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, and then next drive, Winnipeg goes two and out because Williams Senior. I mean, it was Terry Williams last year, and now we have a Williams on defense, and he did nearly intercept Stravler over the middle here, and then Carter does a short punt return to the BC 32. Work throws into double coverage, deep incomplete to go two and out. And I said like the game looks very similar to the Edmonton game in the first half, where it's just like nobody's really given an inch. It's just everybody's screwing up on incomplete passes, right? uh at least for the most part. Yeah, and then Vival dodges a few tackles on the Mayo punt to get to the 42, but then an illegal block penalty forces them back to the 20.
Hate those kind of penalties on good returns. They're among my least favorite. Just not
Yeah,
acceptable.
especially when you score a touchdown. Like you know what, I am expecting this to happen in BC. Like we get a punt return touchdown, but it get called back from holding. Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I am dreading that possible future. But anyways, yeah, there's a bunch of short yardage stuff that happens here. This is like from the end of the first quarter. There's a bunch of short yardage stuff that happened, and then in the second quarter, Wilson converts like a first down easily on the first play of the second. Beaulieu breaks up a Strevler deep path to Dembski on first down, and then this is a big moment for BC that we thought would go somewhere, but because
It did not.
no, but Gary Peters intercepted Strevler. Like it was a really well designed blitz, and then Strevler just panics and then just throws it quickly, and then Peters like snatches it out of the air on a short pass, right? And they take over on the 44, and we're going like, yes, yes. uh, but yeah, again, unfortunately, Work stayed. He was about to get sacked, but he stayed upright just enough to throw incomplete and not do intentional grounding even too, which is also a bonus. But then, yeah, 2 and out because throwing incomplete to Katoy. And I said like a failed opportunity to tie the game on a big INT. And then yeah, Mayo has this inside the 10 punt here to the 7. He didn't kick it towards the pylon. So
Oh, you don't want to get too close. Better on the 7 than on the 40 after the single point, right? So,
what he so yeah, I think this drive was probably the moment when I really knew Winnipeg was winning because in the last game, BC had a similar moment where they were stuck in their own zone at the 3, and then they, you know, did a long touchdown drive that took up most of the third quarter. And here, Winnipeg just basically beats us with our own medicine because, Dembski catches and converts a pass with Alway tacking on an unnecessary roughness penalty, get to the 40. Peterson has like back-to-back runs. And then, yeah, here's the stat I mentioned before where TSN throws up the graphic that, yeah, okay, this is even crazier. Like Winnipeg is 17-1 since 2017 off the bye week. Okay, that's the stat that they threw up, right? And that's insane. I want to know what that one loss was. I hope it was probably Saskatchewan or something, right? But um, yeah. And then there was like a heavy dose of running, which is getting Winnipeg down the field. Carter tripped up Shane on a wide out pass on it to gain a yard, and then Clairthius catches it like this pass was like a really slow developing pass that was like ripe for being picked off, but no BC defender was near it, and that was frustrating too. That was like an E that looked like it should have been picked off, but it wasn't. So short yardage, that's the first down there, and then here TSN does say that Oliver was out with an upper body injury. It was, at the time he was not ruled out for the game, but later on he was ruled out for the game, and then then just immediately just Winnipeg just Peterson said, "I got you, Brady," because he gets his like first career touchdown on a 35-yard run, and then I said he looks like the heir apparent to Brady Oliver already. As the Bombers extend the lead to 17-3, and then I said well, extraordinarily was the wrong word. I think I should have said like extremely frustrated that BC is once again. It was,
you
they're playing horribly against like a beat up Bombers team, relatively speaking, right?
it says in your notes here you already called the game over at that point. I didn't give up quite then, but I knew it was going to be tough, and it wasn't really until later in the half when they had a good drive to end the half that I had any hope, and then that hope died real fast in the third quarter.
Yeah, yeah, and in this case, when BC got the ball back after that touchdown, it was just, yeah, it was just, just two, yeah, it was a conversion for Work for 7 yards, and then he gets sacked immediately after that for a loss of 9 on a blitz, and then there was a dump off pass to Butler, which fell incomplete, and then TSN throws up that the Work is like 1 for 10 on passing in the first half. So yeah, that's we I was dreading that he was going to be like having like a really awful passing percentage, but uh yeah, Vavel returns to punt to the Winnipeg 52, and then Strebler gets sacked on second down for a loss of 2 on a combined tackle, which I thought was nice. To force a 2-and-out punt, and yeah, this was the punt that hit the pylon to extend the lead to 18-3, which was so yeah,
That was
good.
kind of I think that's the first time ever in my life watching CFL that I've seen a punt hit the pylon. I've always seen touchdowns scored by hitting the pylon, but I've never seen a rouge scored through hitting the pylon.
Yeah, or well, yeah, the punt was like rolling, and then Bink hit the pylon, right? Um, yeah, that's I swear. Well, last year we've had the punter, kicking the ball into the jumbotron. Like, are we going to see games where it's just kicking or punting the ball straight to the pylon? uh, yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So 3-minute warning comes here. It's kind of we're just dreading that the offense is still going to stall, but yeah, another two and out for BC be here after the 3-minute warning elapses, and then here was told that Oliveira was not returning for the rest of the game as offsetting no yards and unnecessary roughness penalties keeps Winnipeg at the 19. Uh, Winnipeg punted after they converted once.
And
And
this is where
then
our really strong drive started to happen, if
yeah,
memory serves right.
it started to happen, but yeah, Carter didn't do much on the punt return. He ran
Momentum.
like sideways. He only got like 1 yard. Yeah, here it was. Yeah, BC. Uh, yeah, Aberhart had the meme catch that we said earlier for 49 yards. That was a big one. That was on 2nd and 10 as well to get in
And
the
that
scoring range. Yeah, and then Rook then turned up the field on a broken play for 9 yards, and then he converts for 4 on short yardage.
I don't like them putting him in short. I just never ever liked them putting the starting quarterback in for those kind of plays. It risks injury too much. But I will say immediately after that they called a timeout
Yeah,
with 35 seconds left, and I love this because it gives you a chance to get a touchdown because if they don't call it, you probably lose 10 seconds. And the touchdown was scored with 9 seconds left. So that timeout probably led to them scoring
yeah, helped him
points.
calm it down. And I was gonna say that I think the reason why Rook was doing the short yardage was because Bryce wasn't very good at short yardage in last week's game. So, Buck Pierce was like trying something a little more risky here. It did work out, but yeah, I do agree with you that it is quite risky for your starting quarterback to be doing short yardage. But uh, so yeah, BC gets the touchdown like near the end of the first half. And it was like, okay, good. It's a tight game in the first half, just like it was last week. It's just this time it's on the other foot where it's Winnipeg's had more of a score differential than Edmonton did, right? Because Edmonton only had like the 1 point lead, and this is more significant. But um, so yeah, after halftime was over, BC gets the ball to start the second half.
Which should have been, a good way to get some momentum going.
Yeah, it should have been a good way, but there were things that made me angry on this drive too, because well, first of all, Butler does have his good moment here. He converted on a 4 yard, on 2nd and 4, like the second effort. McInnes had his first catch of the game, which surprised me this late for sixth, and then I like BC called the final timeout early in the third, which I
Oh, I
hated.
hated that is because it was
The
because of
noise.
the noise. But I've said this for years and I'll keep saying this. And when I get a chance to go on a clock management rant in one of the bye week episodes, I will talk about this. Take the stupid 5 yard penalty over losing a timeout with half a game to go. Because
And
like almost immediately after, I think it was we got it here. Once they called their final timeout, then McInnes got a catch for 7, and then immediately after that. Rourke threw deep to Hatcher, and Willie Jefferson kind of was really, really tight coverage. And I thought, they might have had a case for PI on that one, but because they called their timeout 2 plays earlier, they couldn't challenge.
yeah, they ran out of challenges too. Like, yeah, that was kind of like the I kind of buried the lead about that a little bit, where it's like, oh yeah, you have no more challenges, right? So if
The
this
the rule was different before. They used to let you do your first challenge even if you didn't have a timeout, and the first challenges wouldn't affect your timeout. But since they've changed the rule to all your challenges affect your timeouts, you can't challenge
win or
if you don't have
lose,
you don't have a timeout. So that was really stupid. Just take the 5 yard
yeah,
penalty, boo-hoo.
yeah, yeah, I just didn't think that timeout wasn't necessary to do. Right, and it was just it. I mean, in a tighter game, if this would have mattered, but yeah, this was kind of like a harbinger of things to come for
The
how.
only time I would be okay with it is if it's right before the 3 minute warning of the fourth quarter and you're gonna lose one at the 3 minute warning anyway. That's the
Yeah,
only time I'd be okay with it.
or if you can keep a timeout, well, if you're late in the fourth quarter and you want to like stop the well, it's kind of like the weird situation where you have like a few seconds left and then you immediately want to like call a timeout just to not let the clock elapse any further, right? Or,
Yeah, there are a few
uh,
times, but I'm basically never okay with using it to save a 5 yard penalty.
yeah, just your offense is kind of struggling anyway, so like what's the extra 5 yards to negatively affect you anyways, right? But yeah, so all that timeout went aside. Yeah, actually, yeah, there was a moment here where Vavell actually had his Terry Williams moment here where he bobbled the bunt return catch, uh, because you know, yeah, he bobbled the punt return catch, and then it forced Winnipeg to start the drive at their own 2 yard line. This was oh yeah, I think this was the moment when Winnipeg was like deep in their zone, but they ended up scoring a touchdown anyways here too, because yeah, Stravlo, it was basically a lot of wheat fall catches where 35-yard catch here, just Wilson converting on short yardage, and then Stravlo throws on a slant route to Shane for 25. And then, on the 30-yard line, it was like Stravlo had like all the time in the world in the backfield to throw to a wide open wheat fall. Right. I called this a comeback dousing touchdown. Right. Like it was what we fall was like wide open, and then just the defense just had nothing though. Right, they no pressuring Scruffalo, and then no coverage on we fall. It's just double whammy of blown
Made it look
assignment.
easy.
Right, made it look way too easy. Right. So yeah, that touchdown made Winnipeg extend the lead to 26-10. And I said this basically mirrored BC going up big on Edmonton, right? Because yeah, although in this case, I think in this case Winnipeg's drive wasn't as time consuming as the one against Edmonton, but you're up like 26-10, and you're the road team. Well, you're up like 26-10, and you're trying to come
But I
back
think it was
on the
25 to
road.
10.
Uh,
Yeah, I think it was 25 to 10.
25-10. Okay, yeah, thanks for. And then yeah, yeah, as I was saying, it was just you know it's it's curtains for you if you're the road team if you're down that big usually, right? But uh although here I think usually because here Kodo returned the kick out of the BC 32, and then just immediately just like, oh my god, I'm just so
1 yard
surprised. It was
drive to
like
Hatcher's 67-yard
one.
touchdown. That was like
I
that
think
was
that
the
was a
best
seven.
play of the game, and
It
that
was
was
it
great.
was a 77-yard touchdown. That was the
77. Yeah,
yeah
that was a great game. 1 yard touchdown, or one, not 1 yard, one play touchdown drive. And boom, 25 to 17. Just like that. Really good.
just like that. I mean, like, okay, okay, more of that, please. Right? I mean, it was just, well, Hatcher caught the deep bomb, and then he just well, first of all, it was shoddy tackling like to start, and then he just avoided another guy, and it was like boom to the house, right? Uh, although, and then here I actually put in parentheses like I wasn't. It's funny. I watched the touchdown happen, but I wasn't cheering at all, right? Because I knew that Winnipeg would probably still end up, extending the lead anyways. Like I,
And they
I,
did.
w- I was a little bit hyped, but I wasn't like shouting a whole lot. Right? Like I'm saying, things can still go wrong. Like I wasn't. They're still down. um. And yeah, I mean, I was proven right a little bit because immediately for the kickoff afterwards, Laval returned the kickoff to the BC 47. Right, I'm like, no, just immediately, just if there was like any hope of stopping Winnipeg point scoring, it was immediately doused on that kickoff return, and yeah, just eventually, I mean, even though Winnipeg goes 2-0 here, they still kick a Castillo still kicked another 50-yard long field goal to extend the lead to 28-17. And then yeah, and then on the ensuing drive, yeah, BC just manages to, get enough yardage with the well, get enough yardage. Well, I mean, first of all, Hatcher did have another pretty good catch to get to the Bomber 23, but then yeah, here's where Billy Hill did that weak illegal block penalty to go back like 15 yards from where that play stopped, right? So uh yeah. I mean, in the moment it was kind of like whatever, but yeah, then it yeah, just BC couldn't really get back into the red zone or at all, but they managed to, get a field goal to get to 28-20. Uh and then still a tight game at this point, but on the Bombers immediate drive after that, just uh yeah, two and out on like on a penalty, and Carter returned the punt to the BC 20. Bonds defends a pass to Hatcher to force BC to go 2-0. Like it was so frustrating. Like, Winnipeg, like they were giving us opportunities to tie or take the lead, right? And we just refused, right? A lot of that frustration was definitely in the second and third quarter. And yeah, it was just, fourth quarter, uh, after Winnipeg gets their drive going, Peterson converts on a one for 18 yards, and then Wheatfall has another good time catching back to back to convert on first down for the BC 10 to start the quarter, and then
The fourth quarter,
second and
which
goal.
was
Yeah, that was the nail in the coffin because yeah, Dembski just catches a wide open slant route to put a nail in the coffin to extend the lead 34-20, and the extra point was no good, which was you know it should have been important, right? Because that would mean that it was instead of it being a 3 possession game, it was a 2 possession game, and it was still like a decent amount of time in the fourth quarter, right? Where every game, every CFL game, like the commentary is like, oh, I've seen like the last 3 minutes of the game leads change in like 2 to 3 possession. I'm going, no, 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 Glenn Suter, it's not happening here. No. Uh, yeah, and then Winnipeg, yeah, basically, immediately after Winnipeg scored that field goal, Belial fumbles on a kickoff on a hard hit, and if that's not a encapsulation of how much I do not like their special teams approach again this year, like that's perfect ending to the special teams woes, right? It was just Bill Hill fumbling on a hard hit and then recovering on a 35-yard line. And of course, like BC sucks chance because that's the tradition in Winnipeg. Like the
well, the
fans, like,
special teams woes continued the lines later because after Winnipeg went 2-out, then they missed a field goal, but we returned it out of the end zone, which we got to like the 5 yard line or something, which
yeah,
would
the
have
five.
been better. Most of the time, it's better to give up the point and bring yourself up to the 40, which is like 35 yards of distance is a lot of distance. I don't understand why they didn't do that.
Yeah, I don't understand why they even did like a surrender punt in the middle of the fourth quarter too, because I think I think it might have been just Work got even more significantly injured in the middle of the fourth quarter. Like I said, he was laboring and went into the tent, but yeah, it was at this point where Winnipeg still goes 2-out here. I noticed that Stravler and Betts were kind of yapping at each other, and then Stravler was like getting the crowd fired up, and I'm like, oh, shut up, you. uh, I mean, it's the self talking in me. I'm like, come on, man. Like you've had this game, like you've had the lead the entire game, like
Yep, it was
uh
just not good.
yeah, and then BC gets the ball back, and here is where Masoli is in for a brief stint in this because yeah, he went 8 for 10 in the statistics, but yeah, here was just like TSN in the middle of the drive. It was just saying that TSN said that Rourke had an oblique injury,
But
so that's
he
not
was
good.
still there was still the possibility of him playing.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it's not like too serious. If he's gonna be out, like might as well be against Winnipeg because Rourke is still winless against Winnipeg now, right? So if he misses like the next game, it's like you're not gonna go even more further winless than you already are. If if you continue to play like this for the next game, if you're still in it. But yeah, basically, Masoli, he got intercepted on 2nd and 10. Like it was a bad throw, but we're like, at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch the hockey game a little bit, and I saw Reinhardt tie the game, uh, in that. So I'm like, okay, at least something good's happening. And then, no, all bad day for me today, and you. uh, so yeah, I stopped taking notes, and then I said, Winnipeg Blue Bombers employ a tenet from Sun Tzu's Art of War to appear weak when you're strong, and now next week they're pretty much they get Kalaos back, and he's probably going to be really pissed off at the way the season ended. The Grey Cup last year was in BC Place, so he's basically coming back to where Toronto beat him, right? uh, and he's gonna want, and he's angry, and I'm afraid. I'm very afraid. Uh, no bravado for us, right? We've just been so used to getting beat down by Winnipeg often, right? That it's just like clockwork for us, right? So yeah, they just completely dominated us, winning 34-20. Like really, I say in the grand scheme of things, I mean BC had their good moments, but it was just few and far between. Because Winnipeg's never looked back. Yeah, Winnipeg goes up to 1-0. You know, yeah, they go up to 1-0, and then we fall to 1-1. So we are, I think, yeah, we're pretty much at like fourth in the West now because immediately, right, just on the virtue of us beating Edmonton to send them down to 0-1, but they have a chance to tie their record this week, I believe. But you know, yeah. So long recap, I know, but I just wanted to be as detailed as I can just for our co-host's sake, since he's not able to watch again, watch with us
Well,
for
wasn't too
well,
much to celebrate,
no, uh,
unfortunately, but
yeah. So I guess that makes us we'll we're 1-0 when I'm only watching the game, and now we're 0-1 when it's you and me. So it's gonna it's likely looking like it's gonna be 0-2 with us watching just us two, right? But again, it's just miracles can happen, and all we can do is just like hope that Kalaros is rusty, but hmm, again, there's I imagine the fans there's like a lot of doubt now, right? Like coming off the Edmonton win, like okay, that was a good win, but just the real cream of the crop win, and I call it a four-course meal kind of thing, like because it's like beating Edmonton. I mean, I think
they're not a four-course meal. One
they're not a
course,
four-course
maybe
meal.
two. I'm being generous.
Yeah, to like beating Winnipeg on the road is like a four-course meal with a dessert, right, and the mints
Yep.
and everything, right? But yeah, I just again can't get it done this year, and we're basically either we're gonna face them again in the Western Conference Final, or even Grey Cup in the event of a crossover,
Oh,
which is
that would
like
be just
highly
off.
on.
Facing them in the Grey Cup in Winnipeg. It'll be even worse than the West Final in Winnipeg.
Yeah. So, highly likely that we're going to have to wait until next year
Play them
to
again.
play them again on the road. But yeah, we just couldn't get it done on our one chance to beat them on the road. And now we'll have to face them again with, more of a full brunt of with the quarterback, their starting quarterback. And it's going to be, again, the one good thing about it, at least we get like the home field back at least, right? So if we
We
win,
do.
yeah,
Like,
because I'm pretty sure like if Kaleo was within this game, I think the score would have been a lot worse
yeah,
than
it would have
this,
been.
right? I
But at least it gives us, a chance to
liquor
theoretically
liquor wounds and
and win next week. Because like after next week, after next week, next week they play on the 21st of June home game. Next home game after that is not till July 19th. Three straight road games
oh
in
right, yeah.
Saskatchewan, Montreal, and Edmonton. So there's like a lengthy travel to Montreal in there
Oh,
too.
Saskatchewan and Montreal are going to be like really tough ones, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh
and
man, yes, yeah, yeah, and
it's
yeah,
gonna
and
be a
like
rough go, that's for
going to be a
sure.
rough go, yeah. With and without Hammer, because Hammer is going to be coming back probably
For the
after,
Saskatchewan game.
yeah, for the Saskatchewan game. But yeah, it's just
The Lions dropped to 1-1 on the season, and yeah,
yeah, yeah, we'll just expect the worst and hope for the best, right?
yep.
uh, that's like the both of us were seasoned veteran watchers of our team. Like we've seen this song and dance like time and time again, and it's just like it's getting again the special team struggles are just getting old, man. It's just
We've been harping on it
it's
forever. When will
torture.
they actually listen?
When would it listen? It's like man, you can change the I guess the like the crew and the steerer, but the ship is still rickety, right? uh that's my
Yes, it
analogy.
is.
I like making analogies, so uh so yeah. So I guess with the game recap out of the way, I guess we can just quickly I mean we've already previewed really like a week 3 game against Winnipeg. Like, we're just hoping that, we can have a miracle. We can, actually
But it's going to
do
take a
better.
miracle. It's going to take a miracle for.
It's going to take a
The Lions
miracle.
can certainly be better, but it would take a miracle for a win.
It'd take a miracle for a win, and especially we'll find out if work is going to be good to go or not. But yeah, it's just yeah, I just wanted to get to the rest of the week's games, just to preview that briefly, because for last week I was able to briefly review the past week's games, right? Just to talk about that a little bit. But this was the Thursday night game, so
It's a short week. I
yeah,
think that's the only short week like this the whole season. So
that's good. So that's yeah. So we got the Montreal Alouettes and the Ottawa Redblacks tomorrow.
that should be a pretty straightforward Montreal win, I'd say.
Should, but yeah, I mean,
They're still an amazing team. But, Ottawa
they're
played a strong game against Saskatchewan last week, even though they didn't win. So
yeah, yeah, they actually fought back and almost, they made Saskatchewan fans sweat.
they
Right?
did.
But yeah, so I mean, I imagine the Alouettes are going to be favored in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ottawa, does like a miracle or just like some kind of shocking win here too. Uh, I'm not saying that because Ottawa's like a bandwagon team I root for or anything. It's just I also yeah, there's like a Red Blacks fans in the Ottawa Senators Discord that's like they think Davis Alexander is overrated. Uh, okay, well, if if he might hear you, and we'll see if they just destroy the living daylights out of him, because it would be high time for a road team to finally win right? Because it's been nothing but home teams winning so far now, right? So I think that would likely be a road team win this time around.
I would agree
Um,
with that.
yeah, actually, maybe even this one too. Like the next one will be the Calgary Stampeders with the Toronto Argonauts on Saturday. That's at 1 p.m. our time. Uh, you know, I said in the review in the last game, I didn't think Vernon Adams played, that impressive, but they could just sleepwalk through the second half, right? Just like Winnipeg kind of did to us, right? Like they just sleptwalk through the second half, right? And won anyways, right? Um, Hamilton wasn't really like threatening them too much, but yeah, Vernon Adams was kind of like up and down in that game. So I do think he'll probably have a better game against Toronto. But then again, Toronto is coming off of like a Grey Cup hangover game against Montreal where they didn't look that good either, right?
Nope.
No, I'm pretty sure you didn't see like the highlights or anything, I'm sure, but I watched like the whole game, so because I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff. So uh yeah. So I'm thinking, yeah, the Alouettes and the Stampeders, I'm thinking they win no games. But I'm hoping Toronto beats Calgary just for our sake, right? Uh just for that one moment. And same thing for the Tiger Cats at home against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Uh, yeah, I'm. This might be where the road teams start winning here, but again, there's plenty of room for Ottawa or Hamilton or Hamilton to do stunning upsets, right?
I could see it,
Uh,
but you know, I guess that's why they play the games after all. We can talk about it all you want, but sometimes, upsets happen. We've seen it. It doesn't happen as much in football as it does in hockey, but the Lions have occasionally beaten Winnipeg. They went into Winnipeg in 2023, blew them out 30-6. The Lions have lost big games at home when they were considered the favorite. The Grey Cup
yeah,
last year, Winnipeg was
and
generally the favorite, and they completely crapped the bed in the fourth quarter. So
yeah, and
things can happen.
that collapse against Hamilton last year, where they were like yeah, they were like 5 games below 500. They had to run the table. Like they almost, you know, they had to run the table to make the playoffs, and Hamilton almost did it. And one of those wins where BC had like a big lead, and then they blew it. Right, and
Yep.
I'll never forget that one. That was, man. Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't had like a collapse yet. Like the Edmonton game, it was a tight game, and then second half Lions showed up and you know beat them down, and then here, and then this game it was just Winnipeg just never relinquishing a lead and just always staying in front, and despite not playing as well as they should with their well, yeah, despite them being at like 40% operating capacity, it's just they still managed 34 points on us, right? And that's concerning, right?
Not
So
at all good.
yeah, yeah, that's gonna be it for today's episode. Our next game will be yeah, I believe it's gonna be the Saturday, so we'll have
Saturday, yeah.
yeah, a lot of time in between games, and then yeah, between now and then, obviously, like the Stanley Cup winner is definitely going to be awarded, right? So, no, we'll have our but all of us will have our full attention on CFL games from here on out, right? Because
We
then it'll
will,
be like nothing
definitely.
else, right? At least for me, because I root for the Baltimore Orioles, and the season's already over. Right, it was all over in the first month, but yeah, like I got nothing else to do in terms of rooting interest in a team really. Oh, yeah, except for the Cubs. So the Cubs are doing well, but yeah. So you're gonna catch us for, we hope you'll catch us for the next episode on Saturday at four
Saturday's a
o'clock.
bit of a long break from us
Yeah,
because this is a short week this week, but it'll be a longer week now, so some chance for the Lions to rest up and head home, and it'll be better, right?
We hope.
We hope
uh,
so.
yeah. So yeah, it's just yeah. So I think it could even be like a same day episode for us instead of just waiting for like the morning after. But we'll see. Uh,
I guess we'll see what happens.
yeah, we'll see what happens. So yeah. So yeah. In any case, yeah, catch us either next Saturday or the Sunday morning after. And yeah, hope you enjoyed us ranting about how bad our special teams is and just how uh yeah, so yeah, you can reach us at our Gmail account for one thing, like that's a snail mail account, and we can do.
SECTIONTWOFOURTEEN at gmail.com. See, I
Yeah,
remembered it this time.
you remembered it this time. I was gonna say it myself too, but
I need to make sure I
yeah.
don't forget it, so I'm gonna I handled that one.
Yeah, yeah. So you can just like get in the groove of things, like because this is actually, yeah, this is your first well, yeah, episode since like the off season episode,
My
really, right?
first
It's
one
been a
of the
couple.
regular seasons. Yeah, I don't want to forget that.
Yeah, it's gotta get into that rhythm, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that's our Gmail, and then you can also reach us on our Twitter and Instagram accounts in the description below. And yeah, so yeah, so let's just hope for a better result next week, and that's gonna be it for us. So bye bye.
Bye, everyone.